I made my family disappear.
All right, let's talk about a holiday movie that's pretty much a required viewing every year. Home Alone. It's the film that made every kid secretly wish their parents would forget them just for a little while. But believe me, the story of how this movie got made is even more chaotic and amazing than Kevin McAllister's battle plan. So, let's get into it. That line. You know it. I know it. We've all
Keep
said
the
it.
change, you filthy animal.
It just feels like this perfect little piece of old school movie history, right? Like it was pulled from some long-lost gangster film. But what if I told you that the most iconic scream was a total accident? That the scariest bad guy was actually scarring the kid playing Kevin, and that classic gangster movie wasn't a classic at all? Yeah. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on all the incredible, accidental, and just plain weird stories that made Home Alone the legend it is today. Okay, first up, the villains. On screen, the wet bandits were kind of goofy, totally incompetent. But behind the scenes, well, the dynamic between them and an 8-year-old kid was, intensely real. And that was all thanks to some pretty serious commitment from the actors.
See, Joe Pesci wasn't just playing the part of the terrifying burglar Harry. He decided he was going to be him. To get a genuinely scared performance out of Macaulay Culkin, Pesci went full method actor.
And when I say his commitment was intense, I mean it. He went out of his way to avoid Macaulay Culkin on set. No small talk, no joking around. He wanted Culkin to actually be afraid of him. And it kind of went too far. During one rehearsal, in the scene where Harry threatens to bite Kevin's fingers off, Pesci actually bit him. For real. Broke the skin and left a little scar that Macaulay Culkin still has to this day. Now, remember, Pesci had just come off of making Goodfellas, so his brain was just wired for F-bombs. He found it almost impossible not to swear on this family-friendly set. So after the director gave him a warning, he had to invent this kind of cartoon cursing, this angry, garbled muttering that sounded like a Looney Tunes character just completely losing it. They even told him to just yell the word fridge whenever he felt a real curse word coming. And Pesci wasn't the only one going all in. Daniel Stern, who played Marv, agreed to let a real-life tarantula, whose name was Barry, by the way, crawl all over his face. The catch? He only got one take, and he had to do it in total silence. Apparently, a loud noise would have scared the spider and, caused it to bite him. So that legendary vein-popping scream, he was just miming it. They had to add the audio in later. That's dedication. So it wasn't just the wild acting choices that made this film what it is. Honestly, some of the most famous moments in Home Alone were never even in the script. They were just pure, wonderful, happy accidents. You know this image, the hands on the face. It was on every poster, every video cassette box. It was never supposed to happen. The script just said Macaulay Culkin puts on the aftershave, takes his hands off his face, and then screams. But in the moment, he just forgot to take his hands away. The whole crew started laughing, they knew it was gold, and a legendary movie poster was born by mistake. Speaking of things you won't believe, look at this number, $414. That is reportedly the entire salary the legendary John Candy was paid for his role as the Polka King, Gus Polinski. He did the whole thing as a favor to his friend, the director John Hughes. Just unbelievable. And how did he earn that tiny paycheck? Well, he filmed his entire part in one absolutely grueling 23-hour marathon session. And get this, almost every one of his lines was improvised on the spot. That whole story about leaving his kid at a funeral parlor? Totally made up, probably at like 4:30 in the morning. A true genius. Okay, so beyond the accidents and the improv, the filmmakers used some seriously clever tricks to build the world of Home Alone. I'm talking about straight-up illusions that fooled all of us for decades. Turns out some of the most memorable pieces of this movie were complete fakes, just designed to pull us into the story. So let's break down a few of these brilliant lies. So that old black and white gangster movie that Kevin uses to terrify everyone, Angels with Filthy Souls? Yeah, not a real movie. It doesn't exist. The crew filmed that 90-second scene themselves in a single day, just for Home Alone. But they made it look so authentic that, to this day, people are still trying to find the full version online. And how about that perfect, cozy Chicago snow? Also a complete lie. That beautiful falling snow you see outside the windows was actually dried potato flakes. Yep, instant mashed potatoes. It looked amazing on camera, but as soon as it got wet, it turned into this gross, soggy, starchy, and apparently very smelly mess all over the set. And here's a wholesome lie for you. Remember the photo that makes Kevin say, "Buzz, your girlfriend, woof"? Well, that's not actually a picture of a girl. The director felt it would be really mean to cast a teenage girl just to make fun of her, so instead they got the art director's son to throw on a wig and pose for the picture. Kind of sweet, right? All right, these last few secrets aren't just about on-set tricks. They're about the huge gambles and the near disasters that almost stopped Home Alone from ever getting made in the first place. Let's talk about the stunts. Kevin's big sled ride down the stairs and right out the front door. In the real house, that was physically impossible. The stairs and the door didn't even line up. The crew had to build a whole ramp system just to make that one shot work. And for all those dangerous falls and paint cans to the face, that wasn't a kid. It was a 30-year-old stuntman named Larry Nicholas, who just happened to be short enough to pass for Kevin. And the McAllister house itself? While the outside shots are a real home in Illinois, pretty much everything you see inside, the grand staircase, the kitchen, the attic, it was all a massive 2-story set they built from scratch inside a high school gymnasium. They even filmed the flooded basement scene in the school's swimming pool. But this might be the biggest secret of them all. Warner Bros. Was the studio that was originally supposed to make this movie. But when the budget went from their $14 million limit to just $14.7 million, they panicked and dropped the whole project. For just $700,000, they walked away. So 20th Century Fox stepped in, covered the difference, and basically inherited a gold mine. And what a gold mine it was. Home Alone wasn't just a hit. It became the highest-grossing live-action comedy of all time. And it held that record for 21 years. An absolutely epic blunder for one studio, and one of the best deals in Hollywood history for another. So the next time you watch Home Alone this holiday season, remember all the stuff happening just off-screen. The real pain, the smelly potato flakes, the lucky accidents. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are the movies we cherish forever made from a perfect plan? Or are they born from a perfect storm of brilliant, beautiful chaos?